How hated do you have to be considered a thorn in the eyes of tennis officials and fans of the game? In this video, we are going to discuss the debates that have surrounded Nick Kyrgios' meteoric rise to fame. At the end of the day, it's up to all of us viewers to decide whether or not Nick is deserving of everything that happens to him, or whether or not we simply misunderstand him. Whichever way, just sit back and relax as we bring to you the controversial rise of Nick Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios is well liked by both his fellow tennis players and the fans of the sports, due in part to his tendency to throw tantrums and disobey the rules. While some people appreciate the celebrity in his current form, others have a lot to say about the controversies that have surrounded him. To begin, who exactly is Nick Kyrgios? Nick was born on the 27th of April 1995 in the city of Canberra, which is located in Australia. His father's name is George, and his mother's name is Narela. At the age of 13, Kyrgios began his professional tennis career in 2008, and in the same year, he won his first junior title. As a young boy, Nick also played basketball on the side. However, when he turned 14, he was forced to stop playing basketball in order to devote all of his time and energy to tennis. In 2013, Kyrgios turned professional after being granted a wild card to compete in the 2013 French Open. In that tournament, he defeated Radek Stepanek, the previous world number 8, which contributed to an increase in his rank score. He participated in a few more tournaments before the year came to a close, and he finished with a point total of 182 in the rankings. To say that this is an impressive turnout for a newbie is an understatement. Since making his debut, Nick has competed in a number of ATP events, both in the singles and doubles competitions. He has accomplished this by pushing himself to the limits. Furthermore, he has established a name for himself by claiming victories over all of the sport's most prominent players, including the likes of Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Daniil Medvedev, and even Roger Federer. On the tennis court, Nick has been able to amass a total of 7 career titles, and he has competed in the Grand Slam tournament on 5 separate occasions, each time advancing to at least the third round. We believe that if Nick maintains the fire and energy he started this year, he has a chance of breaking into the top 10 singles rankings. At the moment, the superstar has a highest ranking of 25th place in the singles ranking record. But does everything seem to be going well with Nick? Despite the fact that Nick has a stellar career record, he has a very poor track record both on and off the court. Nick is notorious for being the villain who disregards all regulations and acts in accordance with his own whims. Nick's behavior, which can be characterized as carefree, impulsive, and temperamental, has earned him more problems than good. Why is Nick Kyrgios the subject of so much debate? Nick has been accused, over the course of his career, of verbally abusing other athletes, tanking, and acting in a manner that is disrespectful toward umpires, referees, the media, and even his competitors. After Kyrgios consistently engaged in behavior that was deemed unacceptable during the 2014 US Open, he came dangerously close to being disqualified. In tennis, there's a rule that strictly prohibits players from smashing their rackets. Despite this, Kyrgios was given 3 warnings during the match for his persistent racket smashing and audible obscenities directed at his opponent Rafael Nadal. If the star athlete had maintained this attitude throughout the competition, he would have been disqualified from the competition after just one more indecent display. This would have put an end to his chances of winning the competition. Nick Kyrgios competed at Wimbledon the year after he came close to being disqualified and emerged victorious against Diego Schwartzman. Nick was overheard during the first round of the game using the phrase "dirty scum," but he denies it, claiming that he was referring to himself and not Diego Schwartzman when he made the remark. When Kyrgios starts muttering a string of obscenities on the courts, the patience of the referees and chair umpires is tested to its limits. A lineman is dissatisfied with his performance, so Nick approaches the chair umpire, Carlos Bernardes, and begins to question him about various aspects of the situation, such as, "What did he say to you? Is it a comfortable experience to be seated in that chair up there? Does it make you feel strong?" Kyrgios refused to apologize for the questions when he was asked about them after the match, despite the fact that they were asked with the intention of frustrating the efforts of the chair umpire. Kyrgios never does anything without stirring up some sort of controversy as he headed to the 2015 Rogers Cup to square off against Stan Wawrinka. During the match, Kyrgios was overheard exchanging insulting words with his opponent. He also claimed to his opponent that another athlete had assaulted his girlfriend during the match. It's no doubt that Kyrgios decided to play on the emotions and psychological well-being of his opponent by telling him that a fellow tennis player, Thanasi Kokkinakis, banged his girlfriend. These words caused an uproar among the fans, and the ATP Association took his offense seriously, charging him with a fine of $25,000, a sum that has never before been charged to anyone in the history of the game. One would think that this would cause Nick to feel repentance and apologize to the athlete, but instead, he refused to apologize to the athlete and does not believe that his actions were in any way inappropriate. Nick fills the rest of 2015 with various other attitudes, such as tanking during the fourth round of the Wimbledon competition against Richard Gasquet, throwing a tantrum and smashing his racket on the ground, and engaging in conversation with a female spectator at Wimbledon. Kyrgios took to his Twitter account in July of 2016 and posted the following message, "Just quietly, how good is Pokemon Go? Honestly, been playing more than tennis." This post caused quite a reaction from fans, and when someone says that tennis greats could have never done this act of bringing that to the general public, he responds that of course, because none of them are good at the game. After losing to Borna Coric at the Cincinnati Open in 2016, the star had an emotional breakdown on the court after the match. He expresses his displeasure by taking not one, but all three of his rackets and slamming them to the ground one after the other on the sideline of the court. At the very least, let us count ourselves fortunate that he does not take his frustration out on the judges. The worst came to him in 2016 when he gave a nasty response to the fans at the Shanghai Masters. Kyrgios had a 6-3, 6-1 loss record to his opponent, Misha Zverev, and the fans constantly booed him. He told them he did not owe them anything, and they could leave if they wanted to if they didn't like his attitude. What? This is totally absurd. At the end of the match, he was fined for failing to put effort into the game and for his unsportsmanlike attitude. He was then fined $16,500 for his attitude, and an additional $25,000 for acting contrary to the integrity of the game. When he was suspended for the remainder of the season, it was the cherry on top of his already successful year. It would appear that Nick enjoys breaking his rackets when he's not playing tennis. I can appreciate that he may be venting his frustration in that manner, but rules are rules, regardless of how they're expressed. Because of this action, he was given a severe punishment at the US Open in 2022, where he was fined a total of $32,500 for destroying two rackets and lacking the spirit of sportsmanship. At some point during the match at Wimbledon 2022, the athlete spat in the direction of a spectator, which resulted in the spectator taking another fine of $10,000 from the athlete. In addition to this, he went on to break the over 150-year-old custom of wearing an all-white outfit for the aftermatch ceremony at Wimbledon. He did this by donning a red cap and a pair of red and white Air Jordan sneakers, which is considered a direct violation of the dress code. When a reporter asks why did he do this, Nick responds, "Because I do what I want." When a reporter inquired as to the motivation behind his actions, Nick currently holds the record for the most number of times a player has been fined in ATP history, with a total of over $1 million paid in fines. This is a terrible and horrifying state of affairs. Nick engages in a great deal of activity with the intention of getting himself mentioned in the media. However, aside from his awful demeanor on the court, he is said to be quite lovely, funny, and charitable. The allegations of domestic violence are yet another thing that has thrust him into the public eye over the course of the past month. In December of last year, he allegedly grabbed his ex-girlfriend, Chiara Passari, which led him to being charged with assault. He's been given permission to appear in court, and we're anticipating hearing the verdict in the very near future. We hope that the superstar has a wonderful future. Kyrgios goes on and on to create nothing but a terrible name for himself in the time of his career, and fills it with a disruptive attitude. But how long can everyone keep up with this attitude? Or is it just the nature of the athlete, and everyone has no choice but to go along with it?